How dare you take what's mine, you gold digger? A slap landed on Clara's face, and a gun pointing towards her forehead. Tessie screamed at her. Balancing 3 plates on her arm, Clara wove through the crowded restaurant, calling out orders as she moved. She didn't notice the way her braid lifted just enough to reveal the moon-shaped mark on her neck, or the stranger walking in who was destined to notice it. Clara moved through the restaurant with practiced ease, balancing a tray of dishes and calling out orders. She didn't notice the man sitting quietly at a corner table. His eyes followed her as she worked. As she reached his table and leaned forward to set down a plate, her braid shifted, revealing a small crescent-shaped mark at the nape of her neck. Alex Catix froze, staring. The mark, it was the same shape, the same curve as the one he had carried all his life. He touched his own neck unconsciously, feeling the familiar half-moon birthmark under his shirt collar. How could this be? What were the chances that someone he had never met in a crowded city filled with millions of people would have the exact same mark? Clara smiled politely, oblivious to the sudden tension at the table. "Here's your order," she said, placing the plate gently in front of him. Her voice was warm, easy, and completely unaware that a single glance had unsettled the man before her. Alex's mind raced. Was it just a coincidence? Or was there something more, something inexplicable connecting them? The odds were astronomical. And yet, here she was. That mark, so small, so simple, suddenly made him feel like he had been waiting for this moment without knowing it. He couldn't take his eyes off it. Something deep inside him stirred, a mix of curiosity, disbelief, and a strange, unspoken recognition. Whatever it was, meeting her didn't feel random. It felt important. Alex cleared his throat, trying to steady the sudden flutter in his chest. "Excuse me," he said, his voice low but firm. Clara looked up, slightly startled, her brown eyes meeting his for the first time. "Yes?" she asked, politely, her hands resting on the tray. I couldn't help but notice something," Alex began, gesturing subtly towards her neck. Clara followed his gaze, and when her braid moved slightly, revealing the crescent-shaped mark again, she froze. You mean this?" she whispered, touching it gently with her fingertip. Alex nodded, leaning slightly closer, but careful not to startle her. It's unusual," he admitted. "I have the same mark." He lifted the collar of his shirt just enough to show the faint half-moon etched near his collarbone. Clara blinked, her voice catching slightly. You do?" "Yes," he said softly. "I've never seen anyone else with it, not in all these years." He paused, searching her face. "I don't know why, but seeing it on you feels significant, like there's a reason we've met." Clara felt a strange warmth rise in her chest. She had spent her whole life thinking of her mark as just a small, meaningless detail, but now, suddenly, it seemed like a bridge between her and this stranger. A connection she couldn't explain, but one she felt deep in her bones. Alex smiled faintly, a mix of curiosity and something harder to name. "Would you maybe sit with me for a moment?" Clara hesitated, glancing around the busy restaurant, then back at him. Something about his tone, the way he looked at her, not just at the mark, but at her, made her nod. "Okay," she said softly. As she slid into the chair opposite him, neither of them spoke for a moment. The home of the restaurant faded into the background. All that existed was the quiet, impossible connection between them and the unspoken question, why did they share the same mark? Alex cleared his throat, trying to steady the sudden flutter in his chest. "Excuse me," he said, his voice low but firm. Clara looked up, slightly startled, her brown eyes meeting his for the first time. "Yes?" she asked, politely, her hands resting on the tray. I couldn't help but notice something," he said, bringing out a card from his pocket and sliding it across the table. Clara picked it up, studying the card. His name, Alex Katix, was printed simply at the top, followed by a phone number. She felt a flutter in her chest. The gesture was unexpected and somehow serious. There was no pressure, no pretense, just a simple invitation. I don't usually do this," she said softly, her fingers lingering on the card. But thank you." Alex smiled faintly, as if he understood more than she could put into words. "I know," he said. "I didn't come here expecting any of this. But seeing you, that mark, I feel like we should at least find out why it's here." Clara glanced down at the crescent-shaped mark on her neck, then back at him. Her mind raced with questions, coincidence, fate, or something even stranger. But she didn't voice them. Instead, she nodded, slipping the card into her pocket. "Okay," she said quietly. For a moment, they just looked at each other, the busy restaurant fading into the background. It was a small act, exchanging a card, but somehow it felt monumental. A line had been drawn between them, an unspoken promise that this meeting wasn't the end. Alex finally stood, smoothing his jacket. "I'll let you get back to work, but I hope you'll call." Clara smiled, a mix of curiosity and apprehension. "I might," she said. And with that, he walked away, leaving her with the card, the mark, and a feeling she couldn't quite name. A sense that her life, and maybe his, had just shifted in a way neither of them fully understood. A few days later, Clara found herself holding Alex's card, hesitating just for a moment before dialing the number. "Hello?" Alex's voice came through the phone, calm and steady, but there was a warmth in it that made her heart beat faster. "Hi, it's Clara," she said softly, "from the restaurant." There was a brief pause on the line, and then Alex smiled, even though she couldn't see him. "I'm glad you called," he said. "I've been hoping you would." They started talking, fast casually, about the restaurant, about small everyday things, but soon the conversations grew longer, deeper. Alex asked about her life, her dreams, and Clara found herself opening up in ways she never had before. The half-moon mark was still there, unspoken, a quiet thread connecting them, making the distance between them feel smaller. Weeks passed, and the bond between them deepened. Alex found himself thinking about her constantly, the way she laughed, the way her braid moved when she worked, the gentle determination she carried even on the busiest days. Clara too felt the pull, an unexplicable comfort and excitement whenever he called or sent a message. One evening, over coffee at a quiet cafe, Alex leaned across the table, his eyes serious but soft. "Clara," he said, "I've been thinking, you're incredible at what you do, and you've worked so hard, but I don't want you to stay stuck waiting tables forever." Clara blinked, surprised. I don't know what you mean," she said. "I mean," he said, reaching for her hand, "you have talent, and you've always loved tailoring. Why not take it further? I want to help you open your own fashion design shop. You've got the skill, the creativity. I just want to make it possible." Clara felt her chest tighten, a mix of disbelief and hope. "Alex, I don't know what to say," she whispered. "You don't have to say anything yet," he said with a smile. "Just think about it. I'll help you make it real. You don't have to work in a restaurant ever again unless you want to." For the first time, Clara imagined a life where she didn't just dream about tailoring, but lived it, creating, designing, building something of her own. And she realized slowly that she didn't just want that life, she wanted it with him by her side. The half-moon marks on their necks seemed to glow a little brighter that evening, as if acknowledging the start of something new, love, partnership, and a future neither of them had expected, but both were ready to embrace. The day of the shop opening had finally arrived. The air was buzzing with excitement, and Alex had gone all out. Guests arrived in sparkling cars, eager to see the new fashion store and celebrate Clara's achievement. Inside, the shop gleamed, bright lights reflecting off elegant displays, fabrics in every color imaginable, and sketches of designs proudly pinned to the walls. Clara, dressed in a simple but elegant dress, was both nervous and excited. This was her dream come true, and seeing it come to life with Alex's help made her heart swell. Alex moved beside her, smiling as he greeted the arriving guests. Among the crowd were his billionaire friends, all curious to see the shop he had invested in. Laughter and chatter filled the room, glasses clinking in celebration. Everything seemed perfect until a familiar voice cut through the music. "Alex!" Clara turned to see Tessie strutting into the shop, her designer heels clicking against the floor. She wore a bold, flashy dress that left no doubt she wanted attention, and her eyes immediately locked on Alex. Alex's expression tightened slightly, and Clara felt a small flicker of unease. She had heard stories about Tessie, how she always tried to get close to Alex, even after he had made it very clear he wasn't interested. "What a surprise," Alex said, calmly, stepping slightly in front of Clara. "Tessie, didn't expect to see you here." "Oh, come on, Alex," Tessie said, twirling dramatically. "I heard you're opening a mighty fashion shop in town. I couldn't miss it. I mean, who wouldn't want to see the famous Alex Kotiks helping someone become a star?" Clara's stomach tightened. She could feel Tessie's gaze on her, sizing her up as if she were a rival to be pushed aside. But Alex didn't flinch. Instead, he gave Clara's hand a reassuring squeeze. "This is Clara's moment," he said firmly, his voice polite but carrying authority. "She's the one who worked for this. You're welcome to celebrate with us, but please respect that." Tessie laughed, a sharp, mocking sound. "Oh, come on, Alex. I just wanted to see the big event. I'm sure it'll be fun." Clara, feeling a mix of nervousness and anger, held her head high. She could see the way Alex's eyes softened when they met hers, a quiet reassurance that he wasn't swayed by Tessie's presence. The warmth of that glance gave Clara courage. As the party continued, Tessie tried to position herself near Alex, laughing loudly and making exaggerated gestures, but Alex remained beside Clara. Every time Tessie tried to pull attention to herself, Alex redirected it to Clara, introducing her to his friends, showing off her designs, and praising her talent. Slowly, Tessie's confidence began to falter. She could see that no matter what she did, Alex's focus was on Clara. And Clara, standing tall and smiling, felt a new strength grow inside her. She realized something important. Alex hadn't just helped her achieve her dream, he was standing with her, choosing her, and no one could shake that. By the end of the evening, the celebration was a success. Guests admired the shop, Clara's designs, and the evident connection between her and Alex. Tessie, realizing she couldn't compete, slipped away quietly, leaving Alex and Clara to share a private moment amid the lingering excitement. Alex leaned close and whispered, "You did this. All of it, and no one, not even Tessie, can take that away from you." Clara smiled, her heart full. She knew then that with Alex by her side, not even the most unexpected challenges could shake her. The last guests had finally trickled out, leaving the shop bathed in the soft glow of the evening lights. Clara sank into one of the plush chairs near the center display, still buzzing from the success of the night. Alex stood nearby, leaning casually against a counter, his eyes never leaving hers. Honestly, I think they couldn't imagine this day turning out any better, despite Tessie. Alex smiled, shaking his head. She was as dramatic as ever, but you handled it beautifully. Calm, confident, you owned the room. Clara felt a flush rise to her cheeks. I couldn't have done it without you. I don't think I've ever had someone really believe in me like that before. Alex stepped closer, his hand brushing hers lightly. I believe in you, Clara. Always have. Her chest tightened at the sincerity in his voice. For a moment, the glamour, the celebration, and even the stress of the night faded away. It was just the two of them, standing in a room that represented months of hard work, dreams, and determination. Clara's eyes wandered to the sketches pinned on the walls, the fabrics neatly folded and displayed, the small details she had agonized over, now shining under the shop's lights. I never thought I'd see my designs out there like this. People actually appreciating my work. And they will, Alex said, his voice firm yet soft. This is only the beginning. You're going to take this place to heights you haven't even imagined yet. Clara felt a spark of excitement at his words. For the first time, she allowed herself to think beyond just opening the shop, to imagine her designs being showcased all over, her creativity inspiring others. Alex reached out, gently tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. Tonight you proved something more than talent. You proved courage, determination, and grace under pressure. That's what makes you unstoppable. Clara smiled, feeling warmth spread through her. She realized that the obstacles, the doubts, and even the occasional interference from people like Tessie were just part of the journey. And now with Alex by her side, she felt unstoppable. For the first time that night, she leaned back against the chair and let herself fully relax, allowing the quiet sense of triumph to settle in. So, what's next? She asked, a mischievous glint in her eye. Alex grinned. Well, I was thinking, first a celebratory dinner, then we start planning your next collection. And somewhere along the way, I think we should make sure Tessie doesn't pop up at your shows again. Clara laughed, the sound echoing softly through the empty shop. Deal. As they left the shop together, the city lights twinkling outside, Clara realized that tonight wasn't just about a shop opening. It was the beginning of a new chapter in her life, one filled with possibilities, confidence, and a partnership that made her feel stronger than ever. The next morning, Clara went to her shop to pick some fabric. When she reached the door, she noticed a brown envelope stuck there. Curious, she picked it up and opened it. Inside was a letter that read, "Watch your back. I have my eyes on you full time." Clara's heart skipped a beat. She knew immediately who it was, Tessie. But instead of fear, a small smile appeared on her face. She calmly put the envelope in her bag and continued with her day. When she got home, she showed it to Alex. He frowned, his eyes serious. "We'll be careful, Clara. I won't let her hurt you." 2 weeks later, Clara was on her way home when suddenly 2 cars pulled up beside her. Before she could react, she was grabbed and thrown into a van. When she woke up, she found herself tied up in a strange, empty building. Panic surged through her as she saw Tessie standing there, her expression cold and dangerous. Tessie had taken Clara's phone and turned it off, making sure no one could call for help. Clara felt helpless and scared, but she tried to stay calm, thinking of a way to escape. For the next several hours, Tessie tried to intimidate Clara, demanding that she obey her orders. Clara pleaded for mercy and promised she wouldn't cause any trouble. Tessie left the room briefly, giving Clara a small chance. Seizing the moment, Clara begged the 2 men with Tessie to at least give her back her phone. She promised to pay them if they helped her. Surprisingly, they agreed. Clara immediately called Alex, whispered the address to him, and instructed him not to come with the police right away, as the men had requested. Alex stayed on the phone, carefully talking to the men, making sure they didn't harm Clara while he figured out a way in. Once Tessie had left the building, Alex acted quickly. He managed to handle the 2 men, untie Clara, and sneak them out safely. Without wasting a second, he drove her straight to the hospital for a full checkup and to make sure she was safe. Clara finally felt relief wash over her. She realized how lucky she was to have Alex by her side and how strong she had been, even in the face of danger. A few days later, Tessie was on her way back to the building where Clara had been held, but fate had other plans. The car she was in had a serious accident. It was so bad that she was rushed to the hospital barely alive. By chance, the hospital she was taken to was the same one where Alex had brought Clara. At first, no one knew it was Tessie. The accident had badly injured her face. But Alex, always observant, noticed something familiar. He whispered to Clara, "I'm almost sure that's Tessie." Clara's mind flashed back to the dress Tessie had worn that day at the shop. She realized he was right. The doctors worked frantically to save Tessie's life, but they ran into a problem. She needed a blood transfusion, and finding a matching donor was difficult. Seeing the urgency and knowing a life was at stake, Clara didn't hesitate. She told the doctors to focus on Tessie and asked if she could be tested to see if her blood would match. They quickly ran the tests, and to everyone's surprise, Clara's blood matched perfectly. Without hesitation, Clara donated her blood to Tessie, giving her the chance to survive, even though Tessie had once tried to harm her. Alex watched quietly, a mix of amazement and respect in his eyes. Clara had shown incredible courage and kindness. In that moment, it didn't matter what Tessie had done. Clara chose to do what was right. The next morning, the doctor called Clara to his office. She felt nervous as she walked in. "Clara," the doctor said, "there's something unusual in the blood tests we did earlier. It appears you and Tessie are twins." Clara was stunned. At first, she thought the doctor must be mistaken. But then she remembered the half-moon mark she and Alex shared, and she realized Tessie had the same mark on her neck when she woke up. Alex, Clara, and Tessie decided to run more tests. When the results came back, it confirmed the truth. Clara, Tessie, and Alex were all triplets. The truth slowly became clear to them. Long ago, their mother had given birth to triplets, 2 girls and a boy. But she was very poor and not strong enough to care for all 3. Fearing she might die, she had made a heartbreaking decision. She gave the boy up for adoption and spread the 2 girls between relatives to keep them safe. She had left each child with a small half-moon mark, a secret sign of their connection. Somehow, fate had kept them apart until now. At first, Clara, Tessie, and Alex felt shocked and confused. How could they have been separated all their lives without knowing each other? But slowly they realized the truth. They were siblings connected by blood and destiny. They hugged each other tightly, tears and laughter mixing together. For the first time, they truly felt the bond of family. Alex then took Clara and Tessie to meet his adoptive parents, who welcomed them warmly. From that day on, they lived as a family. Tessie apologized sincerely for all the harm she had caused, and Clara forgave her. Together, they moved forward stronger and closer than ever, knowing that family would always be their greatest strength. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe to help others find it and enjoy it too. Tell us where you are watching from in the comment section.